welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
I unplugged one, and let's see if I can plug this back in. Always fun with YouTube.
Anyway, your default microphone is changed to Snowball. Are we good? There you go. There's a nice intro for you. I think somebody over at Google literally goes, okay, how can we sandbag this guy? He doesn't play ball with the system. He's giving away all the secrets, trying to free the slaves. So let's see if we can screw him over. Anyway, welcome back to the Frivolity. I think I've got everything set up correctly. It's kind of weird how, anyway, Zoom did some sort of update, but God, these computers are so fucking annoying, eh? And to be honest with you, I kind of preferred the days of getting your price charts in the mail. This was this trading world was a really pretty exclusive community. We don't have idiots coming in and there's one guy who basically is blatantly, he even has the Rational Investor website right up in his video talking to his 1 million subscribers and making a fortune off of the YouTube algorithm bullshit, talking about a blog post that we did a while ago and how, I guess he's discovered this secret of the market. And so now he's going to, and even listening to the guy, he didn't even sound very anyway. Starting off with the rants right out of the gate. Anyway, I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the community. Lots and lots of profits being had in the altcoin space. So super proud of everybody at TRI for following their plans, banging out doubles and triples and quadruples all over the place. I think in our newsletter today, I'd even posted one. I'm using this funny little ledger thing. And of course, I saw the horrific stories about how Microsoft, I guess, embedded. And actually, it'd be interesting if Microsoft is culpable of this, like whether there's any legal ramifications. If somebody lost millions of dollars because an app that was hosted by them turned out to be corrupt. Anyway, oh God. Silly computer world we live in. It's like filled with potholes. You gotta actually kind of a funny analogy to start off. I don't know why we're starting the video off this way. Oh my goodness, what a mess. Scoodland says, I love this channel because I feel like one of the 19. All right, who are the 19? Is that some secret code? Not quite sure how that works. I gotta tell you though, our little crypto trading community, it's a lot of fun. And the cool part about it is once I teach you all of my secrets and ways of looking at the universe, it's very hard for you to actually interact with the regular world because you realize how brainwashed they are and how they just make really terrible decisions all the time. But anyway, like I said, hanging out at TRI, Jesus, we sure demonstrators of best practices. I think that's the best way to describe it. Uh-oh. Now Cheryl is saying can't hear. Are you listening to it a few minutes ago, Cheryl? I did have microphone issues there a couple minutes ago. Remember, YouTube's trying to sandbag me here. But hopefully we have everything going here now. Oh, 19 people watching. I see. I don't understand why this channel is the way that it is. I've been doing this show like literally religiously for like 10 years. I mean, does that mean that maybe I'm not very good at this social media thing? I think that that's what it means. And I was never really very popular in high school or junior high or anything like that. Never was invited to the cool kids table. Never, got to go out with the cheerleaders and all that. So I guess it doesn't surprise me. Having said that, I have a very quirky way about me. And I do believe that I know my shit when it comes to trading and investing. And I've been at this game a very, very long time. I learned through the school of hard knocks. That's where I learned everything. I've had some great mentors over my career. I'm actually very humbled when I hear people say, "Well, Brian Beamish, you're my mentor." It's like, nah, no, no, don't put me in that category. But at the same time, too, I'm a bit of a weirdo. So hope you enjoy the edutainment. I'm going to give you the straight goods. I'm not going to blow smoke up your butt. This is a very, very difficult job if you actually do fancy yourself a trader. It does mean that quite often you actually have to go contrary to what the public is thinking. And you have to always be skeptical, especially about, sort of the oligarchs and what their plan is. Because keep in mind the way that the oligarchs keep themselves in good standing and as rich as they are, quite often it's purely a function of they have to get the public to do one thing while they do the exact opposite thing, which is really tragic about this silly species. But anyway, if you have stumbled upon this channel, somebody's maybe told you, maybe listen to this guy. He's worth just at least considering. Welcome. We do put out a weekly newsletter. My assistant here, Chris, and I, who's sort of our sort of show director, producer, newsletter editor. We put out this cute little one-pager summary of what we sort of think happened in the market this past week. You can get this by either going to this little tiny URL. I think, Chris, you put this the link to this document in the description of the video, right? Oh, looks like you bailed. Oh, there he is.
It's right in the description, first link there.
So you can get it there, and as well, for site members, if you don't want to go that route, we do post the newsletter when I get back from Liam this afternoon. But in essence, this broadcast should basically focus around this one-page document. Also, too, I noticed, I don't know actually whether this is, we seem to have problems cropping images sometimes. Well, I guess that made everything on there. But these are some of the services and stuff that we provide on the website. Of course, I've been watching Bitcoin tick by tick for like literally the past 10 years. So I think I have a pretty good take on Bitcoin. You can always follow my, oh boy, look at all this. I'm not quite sure how to get out of all this nonsense. Is it just that one? No. Is it this one? No. No. I don't know what the hell I've done. Oh, here. Maybe I'll go like this. There we go. So you can get this newsletter, and of course it has the link to the actual video right up top here. And you can get that in your email, which I think is a nice value-added service. And I think on balance, I do a pretty good job of summarizing what I've sort of seen in the past week. This is every week we usually put out either a market that looks very interesting or a market that has run quite a bit. And of course, obviously, that means we're making good capital gains on the ideas. And as I mentioned a few minutes ago, a bunch of these altcoins are all just going absolutely crazy to the upside right now. So make hay while the sun's shining. Might as well enjoy yourself. Actually, Stoned Ape over there on the YouTube page saying hello, hi sir. Actually, he gave us a really cool idea that I'd like to try and sneak my way into over the next month or two. In a fun little meeting that we sometimes have like every couple weeks or so. I kind of flaked out. And just FYI to all the people that do go to these meetings, Brian doesn't have to be there. Any one of you can sit and chit chat about ideas that you're interested in, get feedback from the group. One thing I really don't want to see happen is people just show up and lurk and don't participate. Everything about TRI is it's a community. 1 + 1 = 3. We're all in this together, right? That's why we don't shill you products that we know are garbage and we just want to steal your money. Half of this stupid human species seems to do that. And also, too, and actually interesting in our commentary here this week, because we don't have any financial interest in shilling you a particular product or, some buy our shitcoin or whatever. If I don't think this market's a good buy, I'm just going to say it. You're an idiot if you come in here and load up now. You've missed the boat. If anything, now in this kind of market state, you should be ringing the register. You should be paying yourself for your hard efforts. Like 3 or 4 months ago when you couldn't give away these shit coins and people on social media were going, well, I'm a Bitcoin maxi. Anybody who buys null coins is stupid fuck. Those are the people that are going to be coming in and buying altcoins now because they just don't know what the hell they're doing. So when you hear on social media people acting like that, that's when you really got to take a hard look at these altcoins and say, okay, I got to step into the breach here. And you listening to some clown ranting on YouTube, if you've never heard me before saying something like that, it's quite difficult to just say, okay, fine, I'm going to do that from now on. And that's half the reason why we built this website and stuff. And I have to say that the team has done a very good job in sort of revamping the site to make it a little bit more marketable. I think it sort of looks like, these 21st century websites. That doesn't look like you're getting your price charts in the mail, eh? But, now we have, and it's totally cool. Now we have not only a community and tons of actual resources, including algorithms and indexes and stuff within even the crypto space and stuff. But the whole point of this was, when I first got involved in this space, nobody in the crypto space understood anything about this thing called the process. And if there's anything I'm going to teach you, I'm an okay trader. I make money, lose money. I just do what I do. But the one thing I absolutely do, and let's see if I'll just quiz the audience here. Let's see if any of you even know. What's your number one job as a trader? Do any of you know? What is your number one job as a trader? See if anybody can even answer the question. Yeah, TBG says that quirkiness is kind of profitable. I'm not quite sure what quirkiness means, but too late. You're all of our mentors. That's funny. Good. Well, TBG got it. Live to fight another day. That's another way to put it. Right? You just got to make sure that you can come back and play the game again tomorrow. Quirky. I think I said I was quirky. I don't know whether you've ever heard that expression before, TBG. Anyway, quirky, yeah. And actually, speaking of which, good, excellent, Ming, Scotland, risk management. Your number one job as a trader, and if Cole answered it correctly, Fuzzy got it correctly. Right, your number one job as a trader is to make damn sure you can come back and have a job tomorrow. And you'd be surprised how many people just go, you know what, fuck it, roll them bones, let's go. And boom, you're wiped out, lose everything. And once that happens, you're nobody. Nobody gives a fuck about you. If you go in a corner and die, nobody is going to care, which is really tragic. Terrible commentary on this species. So don't be that person, right? Don't go and, just anyway. So that's all about this process. And if anything, the one thing that I'm super proud of is the fact that I was a full service retail broker in the stock market, was a proprietary crude oil prop trader, and actually I'm going through the process of passing my old prop firm's tryouts now, and my little account that I'm managing with them. I guess I'm 1/6 of the way to the objective. Positive count is up about 500 beans right now, and I have to think I make 3 G's or something for them to be happy. So just slow and steady wins the race, one day at a time. Don't blow yourself up. Slow and steady wins the race. I love that expression. So point here is huge portion of what we do, and probably one of the way that I can help you most is to teach you this thing called the process. That's my gift. And actually, it's interesting because I actually used to play on the competitive tennis circuit down in Southern California when I was a kid, and I used to teach tennis all over Lower Mainland here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. When in my 20s, and then after my wife passed, I went and did more teaching, I guess, in my 40s. And the same thing with tennis. Tennis is an interesting. I actually think there's a lot of parallels to a sport like tennis and trading, because if you just look at it on the surface, everybody go, "Oh, I could go and play tennis, no problem." And the problem is that to play tennis correctly, you actually have to do a whole bunch of things that don't naturally feel right. We call them like the 5 fundamentals, if you're ever teaching anybody how to play tennis. But once you teach people the 5 fundamentals, and through repetition, they get into this new behavioral pattern. I have a lot of people that actually play very, very good tennis, club level, we'll say, tennis, and they end up enjoying the sport quite a bit versus like the hacker that just walks onto the court and is just slashing away, and they don't really know what the hell they're doing, but maybe they can win a game if they're lucky. I would argue that actually professional trading and learning how to play tennis correctly, a lot of similarities. So anyway, that's my gift. And this TRI community, like I said, I actually saw, I suppose TRI's made it. When you go on like social media and a guy, and you can even just hear the way the guy's talking, that he doesn't really know what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's picked up on a blog post that we've done, and he's just run with the ball. And it turns out that one blog post that we've done here, the Benner cycle, and it's so funny listening to these people talk about the Benner cycle and their interpretations of how the Benner cycle works, and who Benner was and all that kind of stuff. I was surprised, and even people are like, "Wow, look at that!" But the guy didn't even give an acknowledgement to where he got the actual study. This blog post here. I go on social media and I literally see the icon to our channel right there, right on his screen, and he didn't even acknowledge TRI, which is a little bit of a bummer. I don't quite understand that, but oh well. Anyway, you've made it when, so that's a good sign, I suppose. Anyway, so back to our story. What are we going to talk about here today? I do like to sort of summarize what we saw over the past week or so. I think it puts everything into context. So the past week saw equity markets rally smartly off their lows to begin the first week of November, which I think is makes sense. This was on the heels of what they call a hawkish pause by the FOMC, or the basically the hegemony, aka Rothschilds for the 21st century. I often wonder why Jerry went so white, and God, he looks like he's aged like 20 years in the past 5 years that he's been at the job. And I think the reason why he's aged so much is basically he understands that the banksters have completely sold out the populace of the world. They're in it to line their pockets, to make sure that the banks continue to make money and they continue to be profitable, and they don't give a flying flute about any individual human being, and they know how much pain each and every one of us in the public is going through right now, and they're basically at fault for this. What should have happened in 2008, 2009, we should have gone into this should have been this cycle's Great Depression. Instead, to make sure that the banksters model it stays working, JP Morgan, now basically anyway, we won't get into specifics. You all know who the players at Jekyll Island are and all that crap. A good portion of them should have gone bankrupt through 2008, 2009. That's what should have happened. Instead, it was decided they were going to dilute the shit and make basically the US dollar and all of these fiat currencies basically worthless. And they were going to inject a massive wave of hyperinflation into our society to make sure that their bullshit business model continues business as usual. And just remember that all of these executives, all of them are lined with stock. Stock prices will go up if the hyperinflation happens. Stock valuations themselves won't change. The value of the currency itself falls, then that means the stock price goes up. Valuation of the company does not change. So if you're long the company's stock, it's no big deal. Same thing with things like capital stock of society and like guys like Buffett. If I go and buy a big fat railroad and have all my money parked in that, you go and dilute the shit out of the currency and make the currency worthless. Doesn't make a difference. Berkshire Hathaway stock price goes through the roof because he owns hard physical assets. And I make the argument that's exactly why Bitcoin was created. And I don't think it was an accident that following George Bush Jr. and that horribly corrupt administration of his, and the way that they manipulated our whole society to basically generate a justification for mass murder. And the irony of it all is that you could probably make the argument that the Americans murdered as many Iraqis and Afghanis as the Russians have murdered Ukrainians. I really don't think there's actually much of a difference. And it's kind of funny. Of course, within the U.S. market and the U.S. society, if you actually say something like that, then all of the powers that be just shit on you right, left, and center. 32 viewers of YouTube videos, right? So again, this is Brian just giving you the straight goods here, people, not bullshitting you. And so as a result, I won't have 1 million viewers because that's a very politically incorrect thing to say. It's funny, I put out a tweet recently from Woody Harrelson. I think that's his name. Or is that his name on Cheers? I can never remember. I think his name is Woody. I don't know. Anyway, I think you all know who I mean. Scroll through my Twitter feed if you want. Where he's like, it's terrible when these, oligarch powers and stuff go in and just topple governments and murder people. Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. Oh, wait a minute. I thought we were talking about Russia and Ukraine. I mean, they're all just as bad. These terrible species. Anyway, so got through the first sentence of my summary and then got off on a terrible tangent there. Sorry, everybody. Let's try and get back focused again. I'd actually make the argument that, in our algo, I think totally nailed it. It felt like we were going through some sort of bottoming process there in world equity markets. And of course, buy when it snows, sell when it goes. Seeing some sort of bottom come in here through the month of October would actually be incredibly normal, just very business as usual. So what I did notice though is when we were dipping down here into the end of October here, the sentiment within the space, again, if you start listening to these YouTube influencers and all that kind of crap, oh my goodness, like you would have thought the sky was about to fall listening. And of course, what's so sad is you go on YouTube, there's so many people, of course, that would desperately like to buy a house. But of course, speaking of, these assholes, the banksters and what they've done to the money supply and the actual, is it the value of the house that's going up, or is it the value of the currency that you hold in your pocket to buy the house? Is it collapsing? And I've made this argument repeatedly that really, ironically enough, this has very little to do with the actual assets themselves, whether it be stocks or whether it be railroads or whether it be cryptocurrencies or whether it be houses. And it has everything to do with the fact that the currency itself, these bankster fuckers, have totally screwed us over. And they've diluted the shit out of this. And hell, you want to learn this from the master himself? And of course, this isn't rocket science. I keep saying the same thing to you people over and over and over. But let's see if I can. And whenever I try and pull these links up while I'm talking, it almost never works. But let's see if I can do this. Here we go. You want to learn, and don't take it just from the Beamish. You want to learn this for yourself and take responsibility in your life. I would strongly suggest you watch this gentleman's video. This is the Money Masters, and this was originally done back in the 1980s. This is a remastered version of it, 3.5 hours, about how these banksters have done this for thousands of years of our history. Nothing has changed. It's the same shit over and over and over. And then I would also suggest that I don't know whether I have him in here, but we should. You should. Where is he? There he is, Milty. You really want to understand what actually is going on here and why we're having this. There you go. Reality. Inflation. Why we're actually going through this inflation. This is not something that the Beamish is just creating out of thin air. This is historically proven fact. Nobel lawyer, how does that go? Nobel lawyer, laureate, right? Laureate. Anyway, this is just Uncle Milty. I mean, it took him like a decade, and he lost all his hair, screaming and yelling at people, to finally drive it home that, you go and print money irresponsibly. My stupid leader in my country, the guy's a damn idiot. He doesn't understand this. You should sit my leader of my country down and just say, look, you got no choice. Just sit and listen to this guy. He was actually barking about exactly the same thing when your father was doing exactly the same thing 40 years ago, which led to a hyperinflationary bubble. I mean, it's remarkable. They say if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And guess what, folks? We are repeating it, but the banksters know this. And this is part of the bankster plan. The way that they can issue all the debt that they want, and of course, collect interest and fees and points and blah, 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 blah. It goes on and on and on, the way that they fucking screw us over. And then as soon as they go, well, we've issued all the debt we can. All right, hyperinflate the economy. And then it's like basically hitting Klaus's great reset button and penetrating the cabinets. It never ends. It's the same damn thing over and over and over. Good comment there, Omar. Good comment. Penetrating the cabinets. I sure hope in our next election that son of a gun is going to be held accountable for the just the crap that he's done to our country. And the one thing I do like is the leader of the opposition every single day. He's like, when are you going to acknowledge the fact that you've made it almost impossible for a typical Canadian to actually own a house in this country? Sorry, when are you going to do that? Oh, no, you keep dodging the question. Are you going to acknowledge it? And he never does. Bastard. Anyway, moving on. All right, back to our. I hope you're enjoying the rant. Man, I never know how these damn things are going to go. Hopefully, I can get all the rant out of here in the next few minutes and we can get on to the price analysis. Okay, so I'm getting the impression actually we have pretty seasonal normal pivot here coming into the stock market. The only problem is that when we look at the major indexes, I guess we don't need that open. When we look at the major indexes, I don't like the way that they're looking here to set up some sort of long-term sustainable bottom. It just it doesn't look right. So if we pull up our ES futures, let's see what we got here. Let's go weekly commodity trend survey and let's pop on down to the ES. So you guys have probably heard me say this once or twice in the past, but are V bottoms sustainable over time? You should probably be able to answer that pretty easily. So this is a V bottom. It's interesting how this like literally came in right through a celestial event. If we look at the Bitcoin chart, which we'll look at later on, it was quite remarkable to see how the whole market pivoted right through this. It was like an eclipse window. Whoops, that's not the one I want. I guess over here. So we had a solar eclipse, and with regard to Bitcoin, literally the market stopped going down and just turned around and just screamed straight up through that event. Then we had the lunar eclipse. So this eclipse window, notice that it started on the 14th. I think that was the date. It might be a day or two off. And it ended on the 28th. And it's interesting that, if we look at our breadth indicator, it turned down basically right around that 14th on that first eclipse, and then it turned back up coming out the other side of the eclipse. So it's like the whole eclipse window was, let's inject a whole bunch of panic and fear into the marketplace. And really, I think it's more a function of the way that these humans act. Because remember, all markets are just nothing more than a function of humans. That's all they are. Is they're just the collective perceived value of assets. And interesting, through that eclipse window, which I think injected a bunch of anxiety into the silly little humans. And so as a great anxiety proxy, sort of like ultimate fear, the sky's falling, the US dollar is going to zero. What is it for? Is it the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse or 7 horsemen of the apocalypse? Whatever, and then top it all off. Hey, let's go and start the big war in like literally the center of the entire anxiety conversation on this planet, right around the corner from Jerusalem. And there must be some sort of like ley line or some sort of like karmic focal point or something. I mean, it can't be an accident that the pyramids were built exactly where they were. And what's that, Baalbek? I think that was supposed to be like literally an alien space station in Lebanon. And then Göbekli Tepe and stuff there in Turkey and stuff. And actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, there's supposed to be pyramids in Bosnia that are as big as the pyramids in Egypt. Anyway, just sort of ranting here. But the point is that that celestial event had a huge influence on us humans. And if we look at it on the stock market, it was almost basically the exact opposite. So everybody got out of equities and all ran into things like Bitcoin. But you notice as soon as and that's the dump there, eh? So there's the 15th, 16th right there. Look at the double top that came in. So like literally, all right, let's juice up the anxiety. And then as soon as the eclipse event happened on the other side, it was sort of like, all right, everything's done. And even a Fed meeting couldn't even stop this counter trend rally. It was like the market was like, Fed, who gives a fuck about the Fed? This is all to do with eclipses. And we have one gentleman on the site, bless his heart, he's smart as a whip. And he came on about a month or so ago and said, be forewarned, we have a big celestial event coming up here. And every Friday, we like to have either site OGs or special guests. We had one gentleman who came in and chatted to us recently about the AI industry. He's an industry veteran in there. I mean, we have great conversations on Fridays. Anyway, so this gentleman, he's very, very celestially oriented. We all know who he is. I could give him a shout out, but I don't want to make him blush. But take a screenshot of this. Please learn from this. Do you think that what you just saw here was an accident? I don't. Right. So we've got one eclipse reference here, and we can make the other eclipse reference here. What was that? I think it was the 28th, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. And I think that this basically was I'm not going to say a manufactured event, but what I think happens here is that quite literally the humans, there he is. They just, I don't know how to describe it. It's you ever heard that expression? Remember the George Bush Jr., he used to always use that expression in his administration, the animal spirits and all that crap. So, the point here is that this is more a conversation about the animal spirits than it is about actual valuations. But I don't think it had anything to do with the stock market per se. Now, what concerns me about this image, though, is does that look like a W? Does that look like it's actually trending higher? Keep in mind, I'm a big fan. This is a daily price chart. If we change this to a weekly price chart, we actually got, and I show you this on the weekly commodity trend survey. So that little document, the weekly, that's what this is, weekly commodity trend survey. I don't have any buy signals in the stock market. And if anything, I might even start getting sell signals. You can see within the industrials itself, there's a couple sells, but like these stock index ETFs, I'm actually surprised we don't have more. Everything's sort of painting neutral, probably because it's not really overbought or oversold. But I would make the argument that from a trending perspective, we actually got a very powerful downtrending signal fire there 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. So it's actually incumbent on the market to actually take this sell signal back before we can actually start getting like uber insanely bullish. Nope, that is not an engulfing bar. So be careful there. So if we go back to that daily chart, at best, maybe if we're lucky, if you're a bull, right? And there are other people that are like, oh, this market sucks horse. You know what? I'm actually quite bearish, and I would prefer to see the market go down. And you might be right. I don't really want to get into the prediction business, but I'm just going to simply say, trade your setups. You know how the story goes. But I would just simply say is if this is a bull and considering seasonality, I think we should be thinking about bottoms. And of course, the algo is threatening to go bullish here. I think we should be thinking something along these lines. So that means we rally up into this resistance point. Anybody that's worked with me understands liquidity pools, also understands horizontal support and resistance. If I was a futures day trader, I would put a line right across that level right there, and I would label it horizontal support and resistance daily. And that actually becomes an incredibly significant trade location, where I might even make this like even thick like that. I mean, that's how significant this level is here. So, is it just straight up into this level and then back off? Could be. I mean, hell, it might even just happen as quick as something like that. I don't know. But that would be my sort of inclination here. First and foremost, this is a V bottom. It's straight up off the lows. I think this had everything to do with those celestial events and all that. But I'd also say too, what I'm seeing, keep in mind that we're coming near the end of this 4-year interest rate cycle. And we've been in this shit for quite a while. I mean, it has not been a fun environment. And actually, probably the one way, and I was kind of trying to do this late last week. And I wonder whether I can pull it off here, because I was bitching and complaining about how the euro dollar market was my favorite way to watch the short-term interest rate market. But I wonder whether we can actually do it with the Fed funds. So there's the Fed fund futures. And then if we just change this to like a line chart, and then we do something like 4-year cycles, hopefully you can see this. So remember, we had, of course, the great financial crisis, which was just nothing more. And interesting how they've changed the name, right? Why didn't they say, oh, this is we've lent way too much money into the market, and the bonds that we're floating are actually garbage? Oh, no, they didn't say that. They called it the great financial crisis. What a load of horse shit. I mean, it should be called the great financial fraud, is what it really should be. Anyway, there's 2007, 2008, the break in the market. And of course, interest rates prior to that were heading higher. So this is theoretically restrictive, heading in that direction. Maybe we'll put that red, something like that. And this is accommodative. When did Bitcoin get its start? Well, 2008. Right when we went through this great financial crisis. And of course, Bitcoin, through 2008 to 2013, did it do pretty well? Well, I think so. 2013, 2014, notice interest rates started to move back up. All right, so that's this period here. How did interest rates do through this 13, 14 period? Now, we did have actually a counter trend rally 17, 18. So it's interesting how we did not see that in the Fed funds. In the euro dollars market, we did, though. So that's a bit of a head scratcher. But here you can see peak in Fed funds into that December 2018. It was like through this window here where Bitcoin topped out. But you could make the argument that we had to turn back up. Of course, 19. There's 20. Oh, did something happen in 2020? What did the crypto market do through here? I think it had a pretty good go of it. And then, of course, we topped out and started to scream lower, and we've been screaming lower for quite a while now. This should move in basically 4-year cycles. That's usually what they say, the cost of money and the money cycle. As I said, if we had the euro dollar contract, it would be so much easier to see this. No, we've got now only the Rothschilds manipulated currency unit to work with, which is a pain in the ass. I don't know whether we call it a currency unit or not, but anyway. So think of the money cycle as something along these lines. Hopefully you get the idea. Oh, come on, you. And actually, I think there was one in here, believe it or not, actually. I think it was something like this. and like that, and then like that. And this cycle, the US economy was just so weak, there was like almost no rally at all. And then they got another one. And, sadly for this generation, I think a lot of people in this generation, they just sort of got used to well, this is the way interest rates are going to be. And it was a little bit of a sucker's trap. And if anything, it kind of makes sense coming into the end of this cycle. Maybe we change that to green. This was the end of a very, very long period. I might even argue that the whole sickness and all that kind of stuff really wasn't in the cards. I don't think the 1% had planned that. I think that they were also taken a little bit by surprise by the whole sickness. But nonetheless, I think on balance, you can kind of see the sine wave I'm talking about here. That's not bad, actually. I'll see if I can work on this over time. But if we do believe in sine waves, then you have to believe that we're getting near the end of this interest rate cycle. And you can start to hear these clowns, they're not cranking interest rates up now. They're talking about, well, we're going to do a hawkish pause, which means if the data warrants it, then we will raise more. And we are feeling like we want to raise rates, but maybe we'll just hold off for the time. I suppose the question you have to ask yourself is, what is going to be the catalyst that starts this falling interest rate cycle? Is it going to be that world economies buckle because maybe things like the whole fucking China fraud of the past 10, 20 years is finally exposing itself? Yeah, I definitely think that could definitely be a driver. It's interesting how China, basically it's showing like basically no growth now. The only growth that was in this country at all was all the hot money coming out of China that was basically a function of their, fraudulent real estate bubble that just kept going and going and going. And as long as interest rates were nice and cheap and very low, they just kept the Fugazi going. As soon as interest rates turned, and you're not going to get cheap money anymore, the whole damn thing started to fall apart. Is that half of the reason why Russia did what it did here at this particular junction? Keep in mind, commodity countries, they should be shorts until 2035. It's the next 17 and a half year cycle. This is more commentary on short-term interest rates versus like long-term interest rates. It was interesting. Somebody was talking to me recently about getting a mortgage. And I said to them, I'm not overly impressed with going and borrowing money on the long end of the curve if you're thinking that you're getting the top of the interest rate market. Because if you actually look, and this is the chart I wanted to show you, if you actually look at interest rates over a long period of time, is the 10-year US bond yield, but actually I can't show you this here. I got to show you it somewhere else. Oh, darn. Actually, maybe we can just do it here. TNX. It's encouraging to see yields are coming off here now. So that's maybe a sign. You can see how stupidly overbought the market is. Keep in mind, that's on a monthly basis. Holy crap. Yeah, maybe interest rates need to take a bit of a pause. But the only reason why this is going to pause is if there is some sort of major break in the world economy. As I've said to you before, I personally think that this is going to be it's going to be the world economy. Something in the world economy breaks before the U.S. economy itself breaks. I'm actually hearing a lot of people, and I don't know, maybe it's a little too much, but I'm hearing a lot of people talking about how the U.S. Real estate industry is going to implode here. I don't know whether if anything, I actually like the idea of real estate prices falling in like half here. But obviously they're going to label that as a crash, but I don't think it's a crash. I think it's, hey, we're finally getting prices to come back down to reasonable levels. Now, if I was going to look for a technical objective on this US 10-year US Treasury note, I mean, this is everything that we do and everything that we teach. And actually, I was a little surprised because the guy who actually uses this level quite a bit, and we even he has a trading community that he runs now, and he talks a lot about this in his community. This is Collins in this particular case, because this is a bear market. This is Collins' dump chaser zone, that if you are bearish of this thing, well, probably not a good idea to sell the bottom of the market. Just wait for 38.2 to 50% bounces to actually short. So you can see we're not there yet. And I don't know. I don't see any M's here. I definitely think we're probably overdue for some sort of consolidation here in price. But until this actually M's out, I wouldn't be looking for interest rates to go down anytime soon. And the Fed themselves, which is so ironic, the Fed basically over that past decade, why were bond and interest rates so low? Well, they were artificially propping the market up. They were going out and buying up all these bonds and buying up all these mortgages. I think that they did that because the Chinese said, look at, you shilled us, you told us to buy all these US bonds, and it turns out they're worthless. So if you don't, and that was all through this, the Chinese, I think they just said, look, we're going to dump your bonds in the open marketplace, and that's the end of the United States of America. Bye-bye. Nice knowing you. But they didn't. They made some unholy deal with the Chinese, and the Americans went through this quantitative easing nonsense and just bought all the bad bonds back and put them on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. I mean, the irony of it all is, you think that inflation's going away anytime soon? I mean, come on. You want to see what inflation really looks like? It's actually pretty simple. And this is getting back to Uncle Milty, right? I showed you Uncle Milty earlier. If you want to really learn this stuff, right, do yourself a favor and learn Uncle Milty, wherever the hell I put him. Anyway, he's off on some other page. Anyway, you remember Uncle Milty. But basically, it's this, right? The M2 money supply. So I don't know. There we go. United States M2 money supply as the U.S. hegemony of the entire world, right? What does that look like? I mean, you tell me. This is what they were doing. This is we want 2% annual inflation rate, right? And really, I think that's a bit of a joke itself. But this is the sickness. I mean, are you trying to tell me that we're going back to this world anytime soon? Now, what I have told people is if this does go and actually carve out a big fat M and we start structurally failing, I don't know whether that's enough for me to actually call an M here. Believe it or not, I actually think this is going to swing back to the upside here. And we're going to go back up and test these highs. I am, for whatever it's worth, I'm actually seeing people start actually actively talking about, I don't know, what do we call it without getting censored on YouTube and all that nonsense? Cerveza sickness 2.0? Is that what we'll call it? I saw an article the other day that said that this next go bout with these pandemics is actually going to make the first one look like child's play, because they've engineered the genes and stuff, and now of course we've all been stabbed to be resistant now to any of the vaccines and stuff. You can't write better fiction than reality. Anyway, one reason why I think this ticks back up is actually if you compare this to that U.S. housing stock and that Case Shiller U.S. home price index. So if we overlay that, notice what happens is, oh, look, houses are almost right back at new highs here. So that's why I don't think that this M2 money supply breaks down. because the prices of houses are right back up at those old highs. And if anything, I would expect this thing to tick back up. We'll see. Only time will tell. But hopefully you can see how the home prices, they were sort of following that kind of trend. Then we went into parabolic stupidity and house prices went into parabolic stupidity. And notice house prices, they're stuck in a trading range. And ironically enough, remember the banksters and penetrating the cabinets and all that nonsense. I think what they do not want us to go back to that old world, right? They have to hyperinflate these economies to justify all this new debt. And what I think is actually going to happen here is they're going to park this market into this kind of environment where you're not going through this hyperinflationary kind of environment, but we could very easily just sort of stair step our way higher. And of course, we don't go back to this world. This world's long gone. And we just slowly bump our way higher. But the annual inflation rates are relatively tame, and welcome to your new penetrating Z cabinets bullshit great reset crap. Anyway, that's what I think is happening here with the economy. I don't know whether that's of any value to you people or not, but thank you for indulging my nonsense. All right, let's get back to our newsletter and what I'm supposed to be talking to you guys about. Oh, look at that. So Brian was wondering how long he would rant for. Yeah, Jesus, I just wasted an hour there with you guys. Sorry, everyone. Anyway, let's try and do this again here. So we talked a little bit about how I think that the US market still needs to try and establish some bullish structure. I wouldn't be surprised if we rally up into that neckline level and then maybe consolidate a bit. And also, too, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually hear out of the public that they're actually uber bullish and, oh, everything's awesome. And of course, that's setting a trap. They run into these liquidity pools and then we roll over. The issue here, though, and this is why I think that the seasonal bottom is in, is that sometimes this right shoulder can actually be very shallow. And we just sort of bump along sideways here, then accept higher, and we're off to the races, a new seasonal bull market. So I would be looking for some sort of consolidation as well, too. There's an old rule in the market. Let's see if you guys can remember it. It doesn't kick in until way over here, though. I'll give you the first word. Let's see if anybody can help me with the second word. How does it go? Irrational something. Irrational something or other. No. Nice try, TBG. Nice job, Cole. You're so smart. Constantine. Smarty smart. Eddie. Always putting a smile on my face. I love that about Eddie. All right, so irrational exuberance. It was a famous speech by a central banker, geez, 20, 30 years ago. And usually that first week of December, there's some sort of sharp pullback in the market. I don't know whether it takes this whole period for all of this to play out. I mean, it's anybody's guess. One thing that did really jump out at me, though, that I think we all need to pay attention to is I think we've had a long-term shift in the energy markets here. So, it was really interesting to see how this was all going to play out. Looking back in hindsight, man, what a great lesson for all of us on, the stupidity of the sickness market, the con job of oil going to zero and all that nonsense. I think you could make the argument that this was actually a harmonic pattern, believe it or not. So A to B, C to D. Oh, what a big surprise. Look how they conveniently rallied it right into that window. Isn't that incredible? So I think that's what actually happened here. It was just pretty typical trader crap. Big old M top. So I do believe that that's some sort of structural top. We did have a pullback, and I think this was 38.2s, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know whether you can. Yeah, well, there you go. 38.2. So like Collins kind of talk. which would be very normal. That's pretty typical, even with this insane low here. What's interesting is if we go off of like clothesline lows, notice 38.2 to 50%, same sort of idea. But I might make the argument that there was a lot of bullishness, and there were people like barking about how crude's going to new highs and $200 a barrel and the whole damn thing. And I even put tweets out. I was trying to find them, and I didn't really look in earnest. But maybe tonight after I'm back from Liam, I'll look. But I did quite an extensive research into crude oil and looking at the commitments of traders reports and trying to interpret them correctly. And I even said publicly, some guy had pointed out that crude was going to go straight up to the moon here. And I was like, let's see how she acts against this trend line, because you can't really call this a bull until you get a W on the other side of that trend line. That right there, that is what they call the dead cat great reset penetrating the cabinet's assholes. What? No. Anyway, there's Brian. Probably didn't need to say that, but good old Beamish. I think that this was just nothing more than a dead cat bounce. And I think that the commitments of traders reports kind of supported that too. Also, too, if we throw on Colin and his pump chaser zone, gee whiz, what a coincidence. We rallied into 38.2s and then put in the most beautiful Empire fractal top, probably like a monthly fractal. Huge bearish pattern here, just ridiculously bearish. Yeah, there it is. Boom, boom, boom. And we went through that low on Friday. So I had put in the report that, if you were worried about inflation, then what you just saw out of oil there was actually the exact opposite. You should not be worried about inflation right now. But what do you think everybody in the public's going to be talking about? Do you see how the public is always wrong about this stuff? So the chart itself, the price pattern itself, is telling us that inflation is not a problem here. And if anything, we probably should be looking for a spat of deflation. Now, does it make political sense that something like this would happen right about now? Is there any sort of some big political event that is happening right here? Hint, 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 if I ever do something like that, the odds are probably yes. That if they could get energy prices nice and weak, then the people that are in charge and that are running this whole fucking joke of a society, they get to just continue the bullshit again for another 4 years. Do you think that's an accident? I don't. The irony of it all is, I suppose, just like we did AB equals CDs to the upside, we could probably start thinking about A to B, C to D to the downside. And that would take us, mark my words, somebody write this down. I wouldn't be surprised if you see crude heading into that election is down around $20, $30 a barrel. That would not surprise me one bloody bit. And then the question you have to ask yourself, like I said, I'm starting to hear this whole fucking sickness drumbeat start to raise its ugly head again. And remember, this sickness sort of hit a crescendo all through this event, right? This is when some idiot right here goes, I will sacrifice my life to save capitalism. As soon as you start hearing the plebes talk like that, you know that number one, the banksters have gotten what they want. The public is panicking. They're panic selling. They think it's the end of the world. They're probably doing exactly the wrong thing. And oh, gee whiz, there was a huge government bailout here of all of corporate America that they slipped through that nobody in the public even noticed. Do you think that they might just do something like this again to engineer their desired end results? The writing's on the walls. We have a very technically acceptable level. We have a monthly bearish chart pattern that's actually confirmed. And as I said, I'm starting to hear drum beats of we got to rig the next election. Okay, what are we going to do, folks? How are we going to pull this off? I know. Let's get the plebes all worried about the sickness again. Oh, Jesus. It's remarkable how corrupt this society is. Anyway, so that right there is actually a very, very bullish sign for the tech sector. It's probably also a really bullish sign, ironically enough, for things like cryptocurrencies. And it might even be one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of, the stock market trying to bottom here, tech stocks trying to bottom. I counseled you guys to watch things like Nvidia really closely, because I think Nvidia is actually a really, really good proxy. I guess this is my stock market analysis here. NVDA. That as soon as Nvidia, and again, think about the eclipse, and then think about a top in oil. Whenever you hear market darlings, and this Nvidia, I think, is a really big market darling of late. Whenever you start to hear people starting to really freak out and get worried about market darlings, that's usually the sign that the correction is actually almost over. And what a coincidence, since that celestial event, look how they just chung, 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 straight up here. I mean, like literally, what the hell is going on here? If this thing is so toppy and so bearish, how on earth does this thing just go straight up like this? Yeah, that's a little suspicious, but that would be bullish if energy itself is topping out. Because I've told you repeatedly, maybe you've learned this, maybe you haven't, I don't know. But and actually, in fact, Chris and I even did shorts and stuff off of this. But usually energy prices and tech stocks move in opposites. So if energy prices are topping out, which I believe that they are, that's this kind of conversation, especially if we look on a daily chart. I mean, you can see A, B, C, D. On a daily basis, we should be at the very minimum thinking something like there to there. And there to there. So down into these levels. If we see a bearishness in the energy market, then that should be bullish for things like NASDAQ and tech stocks. I'll also make an argument, probably bullish for Bitcoin too, but we'll see how that goes. Did notice through the weekend, of course, that the cryptocurrencies are just going absolutely crazy. Here's an example of one that popped violently. I'm long from down here at $1.21. The only problem is that I have this on the ledger, but it's not on the ledger live. So I need Stewart to help me figure out how the hell I take some profits on this damn thing. I think I have to do like 1-inch stuff or something like that. I don't know. But what a great analogy of, if there's signs of tops in energy, look out. These cryptocurrencies could go absolutely ballistic. Probably also, too, we'd want to watch things like since, if we have a top in energy prices, that's going to be a top in inflationary pressures. So we want to keep an eye on things like the venture market. So, in Canada, we actually have a venture exchange. So I don't know. Can you guys see? Is Willie stupidly oversold here? Yeah, it looks like it. Do we have bullish divergences forming? This move to new lows here. There was no move to new lows in momentum. Do we have actual buyers coming in? Look at that. There's a little bit of a buyer's breakout. And of course, anybody who's taken our education program, you understand volume impetus. You can see the bears are falling asleep and you can see the bulls are waking up. And I don't know, you tell me, has this thing got any room to move back up here? So I think that there's actually a lot of room for venture cap to actually move back up. And if, like I said, if we get a top in those energy prices, then yeah, we could see venture cap actually come back quite smartly here. So, ironically enough, there's very little difference between this chart and something like oh boy, there we go. this chart. I don't know what we showed there on YouTube, but in essence, it's basically the same conversation. Obviously, this is a big index. So if we look at things like, actually, what would be similar would be something like this and something like this. Oh, yeah, look at that. They look similar. So that is your total crypto market cap. So I think that this image is similar to this image. Don't look exactly the same, obviously. Oh, look at that, all the indicators, everything. But look at the internals of this thing. Jesus, this thing looks like it's getting ready to rock and roll. So probably also two things like the Russell 2000, so IWM. Probably going to start to see that. Oh, look at that. Holy Shiite Muslim. So you can see, look at the buyers just coming storming back in here. Look at this beautiful bullish MACD divergence. Oh my goodness. That's like double D's. Now, you know how much Brian likes them double D's, right? Look at Willie, nice and stupidly oversold with the W's in here. So, you know, there's another, that's actually probably a better anecdote of the venture cap market coming back, feeling a lot better following that top there in crude oil prices. Probably also another thing that we need to see for us to actually fully declare that the bottom is in is we need to see the transport start to bottom. And actually, it was interesting. Can't remember who it was. Somebody on this site was actually even talking about oh, I know, it was David in our Tuesday stock pickers club. And he was saying that he is actually turning uber bullish of the transports right now. Transports are in yellow, and teal is the industrials. We can't really see a move higher in the industrials in earnest unless these transports are bottoming as well. So I would actually say, you notice like down here, see the W that came in on the transports right here. And it was at that point that the Dow Industrials like literally took off like a rocket. So you could say that that W right there in the transports that day right there was confirmation that this up move was legitimate. Same sort of thing here. Notice as soon as the transports bottomed, the stock market got the green light. All right, you are allowed to rally to new highs. So this is another reason why I kind of like the idea of maybe everything just consolidate for a couple weeks, clean up this dead cat bounce. You know, you can see both of these have just, you know, gone straight off of the lows. Yeah, just one. All right. And maybe what happens here is maybe the crude oil market actually does a little bit of backfilling here. Maybe we come back to trendline resistance or something. I think the damage has been done here, but you know, nothing ever moves in a straight line. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, also too, I mean, you tell me. This is basically a proxy on the largest 2,000 stocks in the U.S. stock market. Is that kind of move sustainable? I mean, come on, folks. You can see, look at these violent gaps lower, and all we do is counter trend rally right back in to fill in the gap. Gap lower, rally back up to try and fill in the gap. Interesting how we didn't fill in that. Gap lower, gap lower, gap lower, gap lower, filling in the gaps. So you tell me. With these kind of holes on the price chart, are we likely to just keep going straight up here indefinitely? What's the statistical probability that these gaps need filling in? So there's another sort of reason why, you know, I could very easily see Monday morning they pop them up through these highs because that crude oil market looks toppy, right? Liquidity pool, liquidity pool. So they pop it up right up through here, then come back and fill in the gaps and then maybe put in a nice bottom, something like that. Yeah, I could see something like that. Okay. Hopefully I've given you a pretty good idea of broader market, what I'm sort of thinking here. I mean, it's great to see. In fact, actually, I even posted it to Chris here. And I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but I remember specifically last greed cycle The theme of the greed cycle was all about worker productivity in the United States of America. So here is yet another reason, and I don't hear anybody talking about this. So I might argue that this is another one of these sort of alpha things that the Beamish is going to tell you, and you're probably going to hear people talking about it down the road. But if you've never heard of this before, write it down. And interesting how this particular economic site doesn't even news site doesn't even give me price charts on it. But through the 1990s bull market, the whole conversation, and think about it, 1990s, that was the advent of Windows operating systems, which replaced the DOS systems, which were incredibly clunky and very unuser friendly. All of a sudden, the Windows environment came out for the business community. Windows 95, Windows 98. I remember that like it was yesterday. We stopped getting our price charts in the mail and started actually doing price charts online. The internet came online. Worker productivity went through the roof. And that was half of the reason why the stock market could rally as well as it could. Well, look at that number. Worker productivity absolutely smoked expectations. And as a result, when workers are more productive, unit labor costs go down. Now, isn't this what the Fed's talking about? They want to make sure that the slaves don't demand more money so that this inflation issue becomes entrenched. Well, I'll tell you, you get crack that whip a little bit harder. Get those workers to produce more for every hour spent working. And as a result, your unit labor costs go down. And I don't think anybody in the market is appreciating how big of a shift that is. From, previous report was 3.2% increase. Market's still looking for that. And then it came in the exact opposite, actually down 0.8%. Huge, huge number there. Nobody's talking about this in the market, which I do find quite fascinating. So I think that's a huge component to this. Put it all together, as I've said repeatedly, I don't think the United States of America is in trouble at all. I think that countries like Russia, they're toast. I mean, the Russia that you have seen over the past 20 years, I think is an aberration. I think China, they're going to have to restructure the whole damn thing. And you listen to that Peter Zahn guy, he doesn't even think China's going to be around in 10 years. It is interesting to see that there are actually people coming out on YouTube going, can we believe? Let's do fact checking. Well, this Peter Zahn guy, he's all full of shit and stuff. And those must be, of course, the agents of the CCP. But anyway, that's another conversation for another day. But China, oh, there is no worker productivity here. I mean, it's laughable how insane the statistics are for China. And actually, you look at GDP, United States GDP growth was like 4.9% quarter over quarter. That is like literally Ferrari race speed. Canada's GDP, 0%. Keep in mind, inflation is still absolutely out of control here in this country. So in real terms, Canadians are getting absolutely destroyed right now. Thanks, substitute drama teachers. So, and I've said this for years now. Can somebody on YouTube, just so when somebody watching this back when they see later on, can somebody attest to the fact that I have said repeatedly literally since 2018, and I don't mind being early, because usually the saying goes, Brian's usually right, but Brian's usually early. That's pretty normal, folks. So, what's the story coming out of Brian's mouth? In 2018, the fear cycle ended. We had this bullshit sickness nonsense penetrating the cabinets, great reset, that was pulled on us all. And I think that was a pure function of the Jupiter-Saturn cross and the long-term interest rate cycle pivot, blah, 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 blah. But I have said repeatedly that number one, United States, I'm bullish of. US dollar, I am bullish of. And number two, commodity countries, commodity currencies are a short. Stay the hell away from them. And that is including My country, I have to publicly come out repeatedly and say, my country is a short. Can somebody please on YouTube just acknowledge that that has been my message for the past like 4 years now? Constantine says, don't forget, eat. What's that? I can't read it because there's those little emoji things. Cole says, confirmed. Thank you, Cole. Appreciate it. I mean, my message has not changed. And I hope you guys, I'd like for more of you to, thank you, Cheryl. Appreciate it. I mean, my message has been consistent the whole way along here. I mean, unfortunately, it's just not very politically correct. You know, when you're penetrating the cabinets and all that, and you're going to eat bugs and like it. You know, that makes you sick to your stomach. No pun intended. Well, maybe there is one. Okay, yeah, let's keep moving on here. What time is it? All right, I got about a half an hour left until I got to hop to Lily. All right, so I think I've talked the broader market into the ground. Crypto. So in the crypto space, our sort of news right up here, jury found SBF guilty on all 7 on criminal charges. And I mean, it was almost comical the way the guy was on the stand. Actually, I mean, number one, if you're, word of advice, if you're ever on a trial, don't take the stand. It will always be used against you. Every lawyer always says, don't take the stand. Don't do it. Don't do it. And the commentary that I heard from social media this past week, actually, we should put this away. This isn't the right thing to be showing you. I should be showing you the newsletter. Where's the newsletter? All the commentator that I heard out of this past week was Sam literally killed himself when he went on the stand. It always happens. These crypto kids, they are so arrogant. It's stunning how arrogant they are. And I remember when he used to talk, you know, and fucking magic internet money and fucking 10,000 people listening to every fucking the guy drops and just thinks it's absolute gold and they would kiss his ass and call it peanut butter. Then the whole damn story collapses. You never hear from him again. No fucking Twitter feeds with 10,000 people listening. Silly space. The irony of it all is we're now at the part of the cycle where you have to be investing and you actually have to go and find these magic internet money people. Now is the time to find these people. And then, of course, when we go into this cycle peak, you have to have the balls, you have to have the cojones to step into the market and say, you know what? I've made my millions, I'm cashing out, and I'm going to go pay my tax bill like a good citizen. Every single cycle I've seen so far, crypto people, it's impossible for them to do that. And they always get suckered right at the very end of this cycle with this, you know, 10,000% API if you just lock your coins in. So by definition, you have no choice but to ride the whole fucking bear market down. And of course, all that 10,000% APY shit just vanishes. If you hear some guy coming out and saying, well, the US Federal Reserve is going to pay you 2-3%, I will pay you 20% guaranteed. Come on, people. I mean, write this down, right? If it's too good to be true, it probably is. So, you know, this is the part of the cycle where actually, you know, this is where if you invest now and you ride out this whole damn cycle and you have the patience and discipline to let your bags go up in sort of end of 2025, beginning of 2026, I think it's going to be life-changing events. Somebody write that down. Let's be on record as being one of the only people in this space that actually is telling you to come in and buy the bottom of the market. And then make damn sure that when we're at the top of the market, you're getting the hell out. I mean, I know there are other people that are pounding the table. So, I mean, that's fine. It's all good. But at the same time, too, I mean, this rune here, this is a perfect example. You know, we have one of the best fundamental analyst in the crypto space that I've run into in 10 years. And he's basically part of TRI management. I think he's absolutely brilliant. And I just keep telling him, look at, go and do your fundamental research. Find the names you want to be invested in. And I will ride your coattails. And sure enough, there he goes again. I mean, is it worth hanging around TRI? Maybe you don't listen to the Beamish. Like that Beamish guy, he's so full of hot air. But this Seward guy he is absolutely the shit. And of course, he's spitting out gold once again. It's beautiful to watch him in motion. This happens to be, we're running two different portfolios. So we're running our big chunky investment portfolio. And frankly speaking, if I would actually don't even bother banging out doubles and triples. Just, Stuart, you go and find the next Luna doofus, and just make damn sure to take profits at the top of the market. But doofus is probably not the right word. We'll call him self-styled genius, right? Because that's all of these guys. Danny at the top of the market. If you had come and said, I don't think you're that smart, you're going to get wiped out here when the cycle rolls over, you would have gotten punched in the nose by the whole damn crypto community. You would have probably been burned at the stake. And there were people that were like, literally thought the guy walked on water, right? And all that kind of nonsense. I guarantee you the same thing's going to happen again. Guarantee you there will be another Sam Bankman fraud. In fact, that probably should be his name, SBF, Sam Bankman Fraud. Maybe we can coin a term here now. Who knows? I have noticed that, and was this a buy the rumor, sell the news? Was this a sell the rumor, buy the news? I'm not quite sure how this is played out. But I did notice that like Bitcoin hit its 38.2 of its entire range on the day that this guy's verdict was announced. I can't believe that was just an accident. I'd also say too, just look at this chart, people. Come on. Is this kind of move? This is a triple in about what? 1, 2, 3 months. An asset triples in value. Does anybody know what the natural growth rate for the stock market, what you should expect on an annualized basis is? And this is like the index of risk. It's 11%, 7% capital gains, 3 to 4% dividend. So this thing has gone and tripled in like 3 or 4 months. Is that sustainable? Come on, people. So this is what worries me here, of course, as things are just going absolutely apeshit crazy to the upside. Do you think the public's coming in to buy up top here? I hate to say it. Yeah, you are buying Cotter. That was 5 rants ago. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Penetrate the smallpox. Maybe that's what they're going to call it. Who knows? So we left off the commentary here. For God's sakes, people, don't chase. Please don't frickin' chase. Now, if you want to buy W's, awesome. But like this image right here, this is the small cap stock market in the States. There's no way in hell I can buy that. Don't chase. Do you think Bitcoin's the same thing? I hate to say it. If I was investing in Bitcoin, I do the same logic. I'm only allowed to invest in reload zones. I don't know where the hell the top is here, but new money, I can't put new money to work in there. I'm sorry, I just can't. And, this is what's kept me out of trouble. Remember, what's your number one job? What is the statistical odds that you wake up one day and you don't know? Don't get into the business of predicting the future. All I'm going to say is, what are the odds? And I'd say they're actually building quite a bit. And you wake up one day and we get some big ass fucking red dildo here. Maybe the Bitcoin ETF was officially banned by Joe Biden. Who knows? You don't know. But there's no way I can buy Bitcoin there. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I know you all want me to go, yeah, buy Bitcoin here. You'll get rich. It's easy money. And I just can't do it. If anything, like I said, there's the first stop target. We banged right into that. And that was the official day that Sam Bankman-Fried just was basically convicted. And he's now convicted now. So this isn't even debatable. He is a convicted felon in the United States of America. You can also see where short-term moving average support is. Remember, for the longest time, we talked about how these moving averages were going to act as resistance. Well, I might argue that they act as support. And there's good old Colin and 38.2 fibs just going the other direction. If this logic works going up 38.2 to 50%, Colin's dump chaser zone, well, shouldn't it work the same logic going back down? So into moving average support, into this trend line support, into this big fat round number, into Mr. Fink's, I want a Bitcoin ETF. Gimme, gimme, gimme. And now he's talking about he wants an Ethereum ETF, whatever. Point here is, again, I cannot be a buyer up there. What I would say is, if you look at, say, lower time frames, there's the daily chart. There's that 38.2 that I just talked about a moment ago against those old highs. Actually, this is a different one, isn't it? 38.2 off of the whole range is all the way down here. There is the 38.2 off of the all-time highs. We come into a bunch of technical objectives. I think we had a 2.618 off of the bottom that was hit there. We've got 4669s. We got 1.618s floating just a little bit higher. So could we fuck around up here? Sure. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Your sort of message that this market is done will be when we start to see confirmed bearish divergences in the momentum indicators, both volume and price. And then when we start seeing M's in price. You notice here, it took a while for this thing to actually end up topping out. And then the top came on a big fat railroad tracks. And then we spent a few months working our way back down. My hunch is this top is going to look a hell of a lot like this top. And there's going to be some head fakes. There's going to be like, this is the top. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. This is new highs. Oh, we're going to new highs already. And then, get everybody uber insanely bullish and then pull the carpet out. So it'd be interesting just to see what did the momentum indicators look like through this window over here. Notice MACD, as of this point here, is moving lower. Notice the volume bars. Where the hell are the buyers? They're just lower and lower and lower. Notice Willie, as of right here, right in this window, Willie got officially, stupidly overbought. RSI actually put in a bearish momentum divergence right through here. So this is exactly like that last cycle. Won't name names, but there was a guy, huge RSI bearish divergence that was confirmed. And he's like, it don't matter about technical analysis, just buy and you'll get rich, right? And of course, how did that play out? So there was lots of anecdotal evidence through here that maybe this is looking a little dangerous. All right, let's look at today. How do we got here? Oh, we've got same thing in MACD. Straight up, where were we here? That was this right here, this window here, right? Straight up and then bleed out. Straight up and then bleed out. Uh-oh, that's looking familiar. RSI. Oh, look at that. We actually have a confirmed RSI divergence in momentum. Is RSI overbought? Yes, it is. Do we have a whole bunch of people in social media crypto coming out say, just buy and you'll make a fortune? Yes, we do. Things are looking a little bit familiar. Willie is officially stupid. If I was a broker, my phone would be ringing off the hook. Brian, buy me Bitcoin. I don't care. I got to get long. I got to buy. I don't care. Look at this is my account. Don't fucking talk to me. If you don't buy Bitcoin right now at market, I'm moving my account. It's the same shit. It's just happening over again. It's ridiculous how cliche this is. Oh, and then lastly, if Bitcoin is so wonderful and they're taking Bitcoin to new highs, where the fuck are the buyers? Why? this is the amount of buyers that came in to push Bitcoin to new highs here recently? Well, what the fuck? Is this got trap written all over it? Lower highs, are the bulls actually making an M here? Oh boy. And then, to add insult to injury, I think this algorithm that we've built is just absolute the shit. There was just the monstrous bull trade there. Guys on the site were reporting I just increased my account like 20-30% just because this one algo signal. And I mean, you can see the algo flipped over bearish. I don't know whether Bitcoin's really going to break down here per se. I don't really have big fat M's to actually short, but you can see the algo is definitely not happy. And I mean, this teal line, you can't go above 100, and it is sitting there parked at 100. And I mean, I think I started the conversation off. I mean, everybody and their brothers getting rich on altcoins right now, like this kind of shit. Everything in altcoin land looks like this. Now, do you want to come in and be a buyer in this kind of environment? Seriously? I don't know whether you like money or not, but you come in and buy there. I mean, you see how far this darn thing has moved. Look where our reload zone is. And the irony of it is I'm long from $1.21, and I'd be more than happy to buy this thing right back at Brian's favorite fib right there. $1.36. That's only 15 cents higher than where I originally bought it. So, I mean, I'm not calling a top here today, but if you're not taking some profits here, maybe you got to really ask yourself, like, why the hell are you in this? This hello. Look at this damn chart. Jesus H. Christ. Another one of Fjord, and he's an absolute genius here. I mean, this is just insane, these kind of moves. This has gone from, just back in June, right? So this is like 5 months. Things gone from 3 ticks all the way up to 12 ticks. What is that? That's like a 400% return in 4 or 5 months worth of work? Like, what the hell? This is nuts. So, do you come in and chase these kind of markets here? I don't think that's a good idea. We got to have the patience and discipline to wait for the W's. And when the W's come in, get off your big fat ass, Brian, and get in there and buy. Question is, can you do that? A lot of people can't. Anyway. My stoner buddy over there in Europe, look at his idea. This was his idea that he mentioned the other day. Look how pretty this is. But can I come in and buy this here? Come on, can't do that. And as you can see, I even marked up in our meeting yesterday where I could buy. And oh, what a coincidence. This stuff is so freaking cliche. Who can tell me what is the statistical probability that this asset fills in this hole right here and this hole right here at some point down the future? I mean, I don't consider this tail filling in the gap. I'd still consider those gaps open. So can anybody tell me what is the statistical probability of that event happening where we fill in those gaps with candle bodies? It's pretty damn high. If you just draw a trend line off of this, boo to boo. Look at that. It's even telling you basically where and when to expect that right into that December window. And for whatever it's worth, folks, usually what I've found in crypto is we get some sort of blow off top, and then into the end of the year, you get a bunch of tax loss selling, and things are usually pretty weak. And especially like into the tax loss selling deadline, into that year end, you usually get a really great buying window there. And then there's usually a nice little rally, January barometer, January effect, all that kind of stuff. But then there's usually a nice little rally somewhere about end of February, somewhere in that area there. And I think that a few of our crypto OGs are looking for a serious dip in this February, March window. And then also remember the sickness year, right? And all that bullshit. Cripple, somebody's asking over on YouTube for me to take a quick boo at Crypto. And you should see, they all look kind of the same. So if I wanted to buy, should I be buying here? No, you can see where the W is. It's as plain as day. So did have a nice buy signal there. So what's that? That's 50, 55, we'll call it. So you're about 10 cents too late. You can see where I'm long. So I bought this original W down here. Could I have justified going and reloading had I sold up top here? Yeah. Unfortunately, I was just too lazy and too slow. And I'm not really good at using this ledger thing. I operate just off of, look at, there's my market, there's my buy order, there's my sell order. Just execute. I mean, you want to see what my skill set is. And actually, I was very proud of myself. Um, where are we here? I think I even tweeted it out. This is what I do best. Do I fight with ledgers and know how DeFi works and all that kind of shit very well? I'll be honest with you, no, I don't. Do I trade futures contracts and short tops and buy them back on technical objectives down low and make out like bandits? This is what I should be doing. This is what I did in prop firm land a decade ago, and I'm feeling like I'm being pulled back towards this world. And really, honestly, I think I would prefer. I mean, I love the venture cap space, so I love the little old lady banging out doubles kind of idea. But having to do this through DeFi and not being able to use centralized exchanges, I tell you, it's a bloody fucking headache, no doubt about it. And I mean, I've only got so many years left in my life. Do I really want to stress so much about this? I don't know. I'm almost feeling like I want to just turn this over to somebody else. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. This is the little old lady portfolio that I put together. And you can see some of these names are going absolutely crazy. I think if I'm not mistaken, we had that. Where's that EGLD? It also took off. There it is there. This is one that Eddie was actually, you can see I only have half the position. I totally fell asleep and I didn't grab the other half at this W, which I should have. What it could have, should have, but oh well. So, this kind of thing, I am accumulating these things and I think I'll just slowly accumulate. But I'm going to be looking to like sell into the next cycle peak in earnest. Didn't hear a lot of chatter about Algorand. I think you kind of missed it now, but you can clearly see the level there. And if I did want to buy it, you see I have alerts set. Now that this W has confirmed on any kind of pullback, and you probably what happens here, maybe you can even see it yourself, is, shoulder, neckline, head, back to neckline, work its way down to shoulder, and up we go. So on this kind of event, that's where I'd probably want to be buying in earnest. So I'll keep an eye on this thing going forward. It's nice to finally see this thing starting to W out because, man, this has been a really tough one for a lot of people for quite some time. So anyway, good to see. I think I heard quite a few people in the crypto space getting bullish of this thing lately. So way to go, all of you. Let's see. Are there other ones that actually, interesting to see Doge? He's starting to move higher. You can see I even made reference to where the recent W was. So if you were slick, you'd be lying there from about 6 and enjoying the ride. Looks like this thing's probably going to ABCD its way up into this. And again, there's another sort of kind of inverted head and shoulders look. So there's a bunch of these kind of names. I love this Frax. I mean, geez, that looks so beautiful. I did go and pick some more of that up off of that double bottom. But wow, what a good looking price chart. Just so perfect. So, you can see the bottoms coming in. But same sort of thing, if I didn't already own a bunch of this and didn't already bang out some doubles already, I mean, could I buy a new position here? Probably not a good idea. Maybe throw in your stink bids at reload zones. I mean, if we did this even now off of that guy, and notice, there is 61.8, there is 78.6. So yeah, you can see where the reload zones are. So I love the idea of loading up on crypto for this coming crypto bull cycle, but just try and be selective about prices that you're going to pay. Don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. This is another one. Geez whiz, look at that beautiful W right there. So you could be long from 54, but 69, I don't think I would come in and buy there. So you can kind of see name after name after name after name. The whole damn space has moved up. Even this OMG, look, there's another beautiful double bottom. I mean, this stuff is so cliche, it's ridiculous. But can I come and buy there now? No. Maybe if you want to buy this thing, right, just throw in your stink bids off of those. Where is the reload zone? Let's do RLZ. Flip that around. And there you go. 78.6 is basically right back against the original bottom. So don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. It's the same thing right across the board. And I would highly, highly encourage you that if you did buy off the bottom and your names are going crazy, for Pete's sake, pay yourself a little bit for your hard-earned, hard work and your effort. All right. I hope that helps a little bit. 10 minutes. I don't know. Is there anything else that we really need to talk about? There was a question specifically asked on the Q&A, the AMA document, but this is more sort of administrational. And I love how much you've written here, but the real simple answer I would have here for you, Ian, is this is a case where sometimes it doesn't pay to be penny wise and pound foolish. You are managing a lot of moving parts here. My suggestion would be for you, since you say you are working with, I think I said Schwab. Yeah, right here I use Schwab. My suggestion to you is call up Schwab and say, what is your next tier up investment advisor type account, where it might behoove you, considering you are trading on margin, you've got a lot of moving parts. I don't actually even really recommend trading like this because it's going to be extremely difficult for you to follow. This is why I like to trade futures contracts, because it keeps it really, really simple. It is just, the margin requirement for the futures contract and nothing more. So I think that my answer to you, Ian, with regard to this question is, I think now you are at the point where it actually would pay for you to actually work with an investment advisor. And you sit down with that investment advisor and you say, look, I'll pay, $50 commission, whatever, for you to execute a few trades for me. But at the same time, too, we're going to sit down together and we're going to go through the entire portfolio, calculate exactly what the margin requirements for every position are, where my uncle point is, set alerts. And if any of these uncle points get tripped up, it's your job, investment advisor, to call me the moment that happens and work with me to manage this account. That's my direct advice to you, because you're getting in. I can just feel this. You're getting in a little bit over your head here to be able to manage this all on your own. So that's my direct answer to you. This is why the street actually has investment advisors. It's not just to just be order takers. They actually should work for those commissions. And going through your portfolio, calculating exactly what the margin requirements are, where the stops are, where your liquidation events would be. And keep in mind, every single brokerage house operates just slightly different. So it's not going to be like exactly the same from one house to the next to the next. So that's my answer there with regard to this question. It was the only question asked this week. So that's half the reason why I've sort of been off on rant Vegas here this week. Okay, so warning signs out of crypto. Respect this, people. Now, we may just flip back to the bull side. I don't know. But, my cautionary words for you on the Twitter feed here this week were we're actually coming into big technical objectives here, coming into these objectives. This isn't the start of the move. I would actually argue that we're nearing the end of the move. Could we use a period of pullback? Yeah, maybe. Could we press our way higher up into 50% levels, into the original market structure top, into wicks, release trap bears? Yeah, could be. So right now buying Bitcoin, this is basically like a 50-50 coin toss. Could head up higher, could head lower. Easily, either or. Total coin toss, ironically enough. Maybe flip a Bitcoin. Heads I win, tails you lose. On the daily price charts, I'm starting to see lots and lots of anecdotal evidence that, this market's getting tired. Volume divergences, price momentum divergences, confirmed divergences out of things like RSI. This silly Twitter. It's kind of garbage sometimes, eh? Momentum to the upside kind of waning. So could I come in here on a daily chart and buy that level? No freaking way. No way, no way, no way, Jose. Now, what I would say is if you are a trader, and this is basically what I said here, was if you are a trader here, well, I think actually the swing trade, I had pointed this out a week or two ago, that we actually had a valid bot setup come in here, and you're just trend following. And you don't have an opinion. Put your opinions away. Ironically enough, half of a trader's life is you are paid to worry. So, trend followers who get setups to go long, but understanding that, oh my goodness, we have come an awful long way. This is where you get paid to stress. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, do you fancy yourself a trader? If you do, well, fine. Take the setup, live with the results. And remember what we said, your number one job as a trader is to make damn sure you come back and play the game again tomorrow. On this particular setup, if we trade to 36.18, then you can move your stop to scratch, right? And basically what that's saying is, if we go and W out here and break out through this high, then this son of a bitch is off to the races. It's interesting how we rallied up right to that level, 35,968, and then melted away. So as it is right now, if you are long from this 34,638, great, you're up $39. So what? I think I just did like a tenth of a Bitcoin or something for this demo trade for you guys. But your stop is still below 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, 4 lows, right? Your stop is still below the original initial breakdown. And keep in mind, this is the bot setup. I mean, maybe you trade differently. It's up to you. There's a million different ways to skin the cat. But you can see bot entry. This is when I put this trade on for you guys. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen, but the setup fires. You got to live with the results. And, one might argue that really this is just big hurry up and do nothing. It looks like Bart's haircut. Could be. Having said that, if we start making higher highs and higher lows, well, that's not going to look like Bart Simpson anymore. So you don't know what the hell's going to happen here. Are you a professional trader? If you are, great. I mean, hell, I think I showed you the crude trade we took on Friday, which was just an absolute monster win. But we didn't have any idea what the fuck was going to happen at the beginning of the day. Is this is damn Twitter. Okay, Alan. Are you going to load, Alan? Come on, Alan. Oh, damn it. Anyway, I got to go here in 1 minute, so can't show you that. Anyway, point of the matter was great trade on crude, and the setup was absolutely beautiful coming right out of the gate. And it's one reason why we trade the opening range trade setup, because you don't know what the fuck's going to happen. And it turned out to be an absolutely killer trade. It's just the way it goes. It's trader's life. Just make damn sure that your average winner is bigger than your average loser. I like to teach new students. Let's try and make sure that your average winner is twice the size of your average loser. In this particular case, if the bot setup works, this is $3 of profit. So that's this window up here. That will be my profit window. And this is my risk window. So if this even only works 50% of the time, is my average winner bigger than my average loser? Yes. I mean, that's what you got to do as a trader, and just put your opinions away and just trade your setups. Now, what I have said here is if this goes and M's out, and we're actually, it's interesting how the market is fighting right at this trend line, because this is basically the trend line right off of the bottom here, off of that low. All right, that low to that low. This is basically the trend line the market's following. So if we go and M out below this trend line, then I think the bull's done. And as I showed you off of like all the higher time frame charts, this could very easily turn into one huge ass empire top, right? Where you have 3-bar fractal, and we're actually asking next Sunday, do we tick lower through this low? And that actually becomes an outright sell signal. But you just don't know right now. And coming in and throwing new money at the market right here, I think is extremely dangerous. It's just the same thing as this. Is it a good idea to throw new money at a name like this here? Come on. And if you don't know the answer to that, then my strong suggestion is, we've been teaching this program now for 10 years. 10 years. Can you believe I've been doing this damn thing for 10 years? But I'll tell you, this program, it works. And it will teach you. Can we get some feedback from some of you? Cheryl, didn't you take the level 1 program? Cole, I know you definitely did. TBG, did you take it? I think you did. So I know there are some people over there. Cotter, I think you took the level 1 program. Maybe not. Stoned Ape, did you take the level 1 program? All of you. I mean, did this program teach you how to behave in the marketplace? And if you don't know what you're doing, is this a good way to figure out how to play this game? Yeah, but TBG, what I'm asking is, I mean, does this school actually teach you how to play the game correctly? I sure hope we get like a resounding absolutely. And if you want, go and read our testimonials. The whole point of this is, I'm here to try and make a positive difference in your guys' life. We've been doing this now for 10 bloody years. And even if you want to take the little old lady idiot approach, you can still take almost no money and turn it into life-changing amounts. And keep in mind, this is a really, really, really simple, don't overthink this kind of approach. But the key here is when everybody on social media is telling you everything's shit, that's when you have to buy. And when everybody on social media is telling you, oh, fucking, just buy my fucking and you'll fucking, that's when you got to sell. Can you do that? If you need some help learning how, get your ass into the school. And oh, by the way, yes, we do have a Black Friday deal coming up for this. So maybe consider it as a gift, right? And get a special deal. Anyway, okay. That is 103. So I think I talked all of your ears off. I now have to go and actually do my real job, which is to try and be the father to a special needs child that needs all of the positivity he can possibly get in his life. So if you could all wish us good luck on the road today and positive karmic spirits, I would greatly appreciate it. And slow and steady wins a race. I hope you enjoyed the conversation today. I hope you guys, got some value out of this. Hit the like button if you could. Subscribe, ring the bell. You know how all this goes. Maybe consider joining the site. We do have a free 30-day trial. So maybe consider joining the site. And over the course of this next few weeks, you can decide, do I want to take advantage of this Black Friday event coming up here and get my butt into the school to change my life for the better. The bull market is coming. I think I've demonstrated that not only through things like economic data, through commodity price data, through interest rate cycle data, through even Bitcoin 4-year cycle data. I think it's pretty obvious that the bull market is coming. The interesting thing, of course, is that the 1% is going to try and set us up that everything looks absolutely horrible. And ironically enough, I want to see more horrible talk. I want to see more horrible price action so I can buy cheap because I want to still buy more. I mean, already I've put about 10, 20 G's or so into the little old lady portfolio. So last cycle it was 500 into 3, 4, 500,000 bucks. In fact, actually it was as high as 7 or 800,000 at the top in 17, 18. Now I've put about 10 to 20 G's in at the bottom of the cycle. So how big do you think that number is going to be at the end of this bull run? And keep in mind, we're in the shitty part of the market and we're doing this kind of stuff right now. Just imagine what your portfolio is going to be when everybody in the public is actually telling you, oh yeah, crypto is a great buy right now. Oh, that's when we're going to be liquidating and getting the hell out. So there you go. All right, Eddie says you need to add more. Get in there and buy, Brian, you bastard. All right. All right, have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins race. Remember what your number one job is. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring Colleen's bell. Where the hell is Colleen? We're going to need to go out collectively in the world and find Colleen again to get her back on the site. Anyway, have yourselves a great day. And of course, as TBG, you got a microphone? Or are you driving in your car? Hey, you're driving in El Salvador or something right now, right? Eddie's got his microphone on. Eddie, okay, let's do it in unison. All three of us, ready? 3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye for now.
Where the hell are you people?